Those years in quest of honor mine. Chapter 23. Zhongyuan had unexpectedly made a fool of himself in front of Yushi. He tried his best to bring his body under control, closing his eyes and pretended that Yushi wasn't the one before him. He ground his teeth and asked, "Whose fault is it?" He could sense Yushi drawing back a hint, not waiting for Zhongyuan to relax. He could hear Yushi's breathing by his ear. With his sight concealed, his hearing became more sensitive. He heard Yushi whisper in his ear, "Blame yourself." Every word that Yushi said, he hid another. There were some things, young prince, you couldn't say because they were too crude. However, Zhongyuan didn't need to be taught to know what words Yushi was unable to say. Blame yourself for being unrestrained. Zhongyuan's face flushed. He opened his eyes. A glance, and he could see the Yushi who was very close to him. And he quickly closed his eyes again. As crazy as Yushi was, his appearance compared to that of his youth was even more dazzling. Handsome in a heroic and righteous way. Even when he was raging mad, he didn't seem deranged. On the contrary, it added to his allure. To be stared at by him at such close range, even if there was nothing wrong originally, in the eyes of others, it would still appear like so. He gritted his teeth, spitting out one word at a time, "Can you release me first?" A while later, Yushi finally loosened his grip. Zhongyuan turned around, poured a cup of cold tea and drank it. Never had Yushi expected Zhongyuan to be that weak at handling bullying. After he broke free from his surprise, he grew calmer than he had been earlier. He retreated a few steps, until he was standing in front of the window. Not once did his gaze stray to Zhongyuan. A moment later, he suddenly realized something was strange. Yushi turned his head and stared at Zhongyuan with narrowed eyes. "Zhongyuan, does your concubine know you're interested in men?" Zhongyuan was dumbstruck. Then he blurted, "What concubine?" Coldly, Yushi said, "Quafu." Zhongyuan was rendered speechless. All of a sudden, realization struck him. He took a deep breath. After he had calmed down, he asked, "Have you inserted spies near me?" Yushi answered with extreme calm, "Yes." Even if he had to die, Zhongyuan still wanted to understand, to clarify why Yushi had detained him and interrogated him. He had lost all face, both inside and out. "Your spies informed you that I want to marry Quafu?" Yushi nodded. Zhongyuan was furious to the point of nearly being unable to breathe. "And then you believed it?" "He has served me for more than 10 years, Yushi said with indifference. "And he was even willing to make an oath of blood." Zhongyuan could not utter a word. He recalled when Steward Feng had met with him yesterday. And he asked, "Did Steward Feng said something to you?" These things didn't need to be hidden. Yushi sat down. He relayed what Steward Feng had said in full detail, from the concubine to the baskets of eggs. Once he had heard everything, Zhongyuan leaned against the wall, as if he had lost all strength. For a moment, he didn't know how to explain these things. For some people, in order to keep living in this world, Zhongyuan was so furious, he could hear ringing in his ears. They must only rely on themselves. They cannot trust even those by their side because you never knew who would stab you in the back. Yushi frowned. He hadn't a clue what Zhongyuan was saying, the first half of his words not connecting with the latter half. Dispirited, Zhongyuan said, "I don't have a concubine. If you don't believe me, then look for her yourself." "There isn't one right now," Yushi said apathetically. "Is it because she has yet to marry in?" Zhongyuan was left with no other choice but to honestly say, "I don't have any concubine that has yet to marry in either." But Yushi still did not believe him. Even so, his expression seemed a bit better than it had previously. Zhongyuan kept recalling how Yushi had embraced him in his arms before and how he had a slight physical reaction. He was so embarrassed that he wanted to jump into a lake. At present, his mind was chaotic. He only wanted Yushi to forget what had happened before. He quickly changed the topic of conversation, carelessly asking, "What right do you have to control me?" That startled Yushi. And then he burst into laughter. Zhonwan's heartbeat grew chaotic again. The smile vanished from Yushi's lips. He indifferently said, "Because everyone knows you belong to me." This rendered Zhonwan speechless once more. Yushi swept his gaze up and down Zhonwan's body. Softly, he said, "Speaking of which, what's with that reaction of yours before?" Zhonwan grumbled in his heart, "Can't you refrain from mentioning that?" Zhonwan. When Yushi recalled what had occurred earlier, the 2 days' worth of anger that he had suppressed was extinguished. Calm in the midst of chaos, he stared at Zhonwan. Earlier, what was the cause of that reaction? Tilting his head, Zhonwan stiffly said, "I haven't been close to anyone in a long time, so I treated you as a woman. You're not that tall. Which family's daughter can hold you like I do?" Yushi sneered. Is there anyone who can hold you like this?" Zhonwan did not want to remember at all how he had been trapped in Yushi's arms. He thought, if anyone dared to do this to me, I would have long since sent them to the king of hell. Yushi's expression changed as he had suddenly thought of something. Could it be there's really a Kwafu? No. Zhonwan almost collapsed. Stop mentioning Kwafu. Yushi stared at Zhonwan, ruminating. After they had reunited, whenever they met, Zhonwan had always been tense. Yushi often felt he was a little unfamiliar. Yet also familiar. The present Zhonwan had changed immensely but occasionally reminded Yushi of his own younger self. Today, Zhonwan had gone through extreme highs and lows, and his temperament seemed like that of a child's at the moment. Then speak honestly. Yushi knocked on the table, still continuing with the previous line of conversation. Just now, why were you like that? Zhonwan absolutely did not want to remember what had happened earlier. He only wanted to find a hole to hide in. In a good mood, Yushi suggested, "If you can't remember, we can try again." No. Zhonwan could not handle such provocation. After some hesitation, he abandoned himself to despair. Because. Yushi's gaze proved deep. Is it because of me or what I said? Zhonwan tried to find the lesser of two evils. And at rapid speed, he said, "Because of what you said." Low laughter escaped Yushi's lips. What? He stared at Zhonwan, asking in a low voice, "You really want to birth a child for me?" And Zhonwan's face turned scarlet. He strived his best to keep calm as he whispered, "Young prince, you. Please conduct yourself with dignity. You were the one who wasn't conducting yourself properly first." Yushi rose to his feet. He said in a careless manner, "Young princess consort, you." Zhonwan sat there, dumbstruck. He knew full well that Yushi was merely speaking without thought. He calmed his heart and pretended not to have heard it. It'd be best if it were a misunderstanding. Yushi picked up his cloak. He approached Zhonwan but stopped when he was only 2 chi away from him. Staring into Zhonwan's eyes, he impassively said, "If you use the excuse of taking a concubine to lure me here again, then I will truly test and see if you can actually give birth." Zhonwan closed his eyes, chanting the clear heart mantra in his thoughts. Yushi turned around and opened the door. The personal guards of Yushi filled Zhonwan's little courtyard. All the servants of Prince Jianan's estate made sure their gazes didn't stray. Yushi stood at the doorway and stared at the outside expressionlessly. He took his time putting on his cloak. Zhonwan covered his face with his hands, not looking up. Even if he were using his legs instead of his brain to think, he would know what the servants thought when they saw Yushi straightening his clothes. Yushi lifted his hand and rubbed his shoulder. And he led his men out. A long while later, Yan Pingshan carefully pushed open the door. Tilting his head, he stared at Zhonwan. Zhongyuan sat on top of his bed. He lifted his head and looked at Yan Pingshan. Frustrated to the extreme, he said, "Why did you send him red eggs?" Yan Pingshan froze. Then he innocently said, "Didn't you say it yourself? To use your name to send the most famous product of Prince Jianan's estate? You already drank more than half of the tea leaves we brought and the alcohol had already been used to cook with. We only had more than 10 egg-laying hens. I was afraid it would lose face for you, so I did not directly send the chickens." Then, "Enough, enough," said Zhongyuan. Yan Pingshan's words were giving him a headache. He did his utmost to suppress the blush on his cheeks, did his utmost to appear like he had previously. "Suppress the news. Don't let anyone know he came here earlier." "I'm afraid that cannot be done," said Yan Pingshan, unable to bear it. "Never had I expected that young prince you would bring so many people, and even sealed off the road to our estate. The roads ahead, behind and to our left and right have all been blocked off. The guards of Prince Yu's estate took strict precautions and guarded the streets to their best ability. It scared the noble personages that was paying a visit to His Highness' sick bed so much that they were too afraid to leave. Only after young Prince Yu had left did they come out of the inner courtyard." Zhongyuan felt like dying. Wasn't that great now? Whether the news of Xian Rui being sick to the point of near death could spread was anyone's guess. However, the news that young Prince Yu forcibly charged into his courtyard and locked the door, leaving the two of them alone in the room, would definitely spread like wildfire all through the capital. A few days later, most of Jiangnan and Jiangbei learned of this news as well. Once those authors of yellow books heard of this, they would be rolling in on excitement. After they had finished writing their novels and the stories entered the capital, Yushi would probably have a great time again. In any case, he was the only one who was out of luck. In the others' eyes, he had defended his virginity for many years with great difficulty, but just like that, it was gone. Yan Pingshan turned his head, glancing at Zhongyuan. He wanted to ask what Yushi had done to him in the room just now, but also felt like these matters should not be pried on. Without looking, Zhongyuan knew what was going through his mind. And his headache grew. Yan Pingshan feared that Zhongyuan ate a loss but was unable to say it. Furthermore, he feared Zhongyuan received a hidden injury that could not be mentioned. He hesitated for a long time, before choking out one phrase, "Do you want hot water?" Again, Zhongyuan felt like dying. "What do I need hot water for?" "To wash my wrists that have been dirted by Yushi's grasp." Yan Pingshan's gaze was evasive. He felt that he had said something he should not have said and tactfully shut up. After a stretch of silence, the fire in Zhongyuan's heart had been extinguished completely. He wholeheartedly said, "Just ask. Only after you ask me can I explain clearly. I don't know how many spies there are in our estate. I'll borrow their mouths to prove my innocence." Afraid that he would hurt Zhongyuan's feelings, Yan Pingshan quickly shook his head, his face reflecting his intention to keep everything a secret. Enraged, Zhongyuan shouted, "Ask." Yan Pingshan pushed himself way beyond his ability and forced himself to say, "Are you?" Zhongyuan took a deep breath. Voice powerful and resonating as he enunciated, "Listen carefully. I am still a virgin." End chapter. Those years in quest of honor mine. Chapter 24. Things would have been fine if Zhongyuan hadn't said anything. As soon as he finished speaking, Yan Pingshan's gaze became filled with reluctance and pity as he looked over. Zhongyuan placed a hand over his liver that hurt because of how angry he was. He was so angry that his tone changed. "The two of us only chatted a bit. We didn't do anything. I won't blame you for the red chicken eggs. Consider this my plea to you. Don't bring any hot water in. I don't want to cry while bathing. Go do what you need to do." Yan Pingshan looked at Zhongyuan, still concerned. As he left, he kept looking back every few steps. Zhongyuan rubbed the spot between his eyebrows and closed the door. He walked over to the wash basin. In a daze, he slowly washed his wrists. Zhonwan had pale skin. There were marks on his wrist from Yushi's grip. Zhonwan exhaled deeply. The virginity that had diligently defended for 24 years was now for naught. And because of an ambiguous reason. Zhonwan thought of how he had become aroused earlier and wished he could stuff his head into the wash basin and drown himself. How could he look at Yushi again after this? And he was intending to stay in the capital. Every meeting after this would be another bout of embarrassment. With enough meetings, the little bit of dignity he had left with Yushi would be completely lost. Zhonwan wiped his hands and forced himself to stop thinking about Yushi. He walked out and headed towards the inner courtyard. Xian Rui's cheeks were a burning red. His lips were white and his breaths ragged. His chest heaved up and down as his legs occasionally spasmed. He couldn't have appeared any more tragic. Zhonwan titled his head and looked at the imperial doctor who was in front of the sickbed and asked, "What's wrong with our prince?" He had been taking the medication in accordance to the prescription, but he was not getting well at all. Maybe he needs a new prescription. The imperial doctor was also very confused. When I checked yesterday, I thought that the prince had only caught a cold that resulted in a sudden fever. But today, that doesn't seem quite right. With an outsider male present, Xian Kangxin sat behind the screen. Upon hearing this, she said, "It originally was only a cold." Eldest brother didn't think anything of it either. But for some reason, his temperature suddenly started rising and we couldn't wake him up anymore. He drank a few bowls of medicine, but he appears to be getting worse and worse. Right now, he throws up everything he consumes. If this continues. Zhonwan suddenly pressured the imperial physician. He used to be able to at least have a few bites of congee, but we can't feed him anything now. If this continues, I fear that his slight illness may become something much more serious. The imperial doctor was agitated too. He hurriedly said, of course. Allow me to discuss with the two other imperial physicians to come up with a new prescription." Zhonwan nodded. "Apologies for the bother." The imperial doctor left, quite worried. Yan Pingshan lowered his voice and said nervously, "Are they going to continue finding a cure? Then when can we request permission to leave from the emperor?" "The emperor sent them here. They don't dare to not try their best," Zhonwan responded softly. "Don't worry. Xian Rui's sickness is getting worse and worse. The imperial doctors don't want to get blamed in the future. When they get back, they'll definitely make the situation seem worse than it really is when they report things to the emperor. The emperor may not believe us, but he'll believe the imperial doctors. The imperial physicians are fearful that they won't be able to cure Xian Rui. The emperor is also scared that something will happen to us while we're in the capital. If so, he won't be able to explain himself clearly," Zhonwan stated lightly. "By then, when we request permission to leave, the emperor will be willing to get rid of us, the troublesome lot." Yan Pingshan thought about it and nodded. "You're right. It would be impossible for the emperor to allow us to leave without expressing concern. Regardless of whether it's out of genuine compassion or just for appearance's sake, he'll definitely try to cure our prince first. Only, this way, His Highness will have to suffer." Yan Pingshan removed the wet cloth from Xian Rui's forehead and replaced it with a new one. He hesitantly said, "Continuously eating that medicine is fine, right? He's already consumed it 2 days in a row." Zhonwan answered without much care, "It's fine." Yan Pingshan furrowed his brows and looked at Xian Rui. He still couldn't stop worrying. He turned his gaze to Zhonwan and lowered his voice to ask again, "How many days did you continuously take it for back then?" Zhonwan calmly stated, 17. Yan Pingshan's breath caught. A hint of embarrassment flashed through his eyes. He turned around and stopped speaking. Zhonwan smiled. He didn't think too much of it. As they spoke, Xian Rui's shoulders shook a few times. He suddenly flipped over and vomited into the basin on the ground by the bed. Xian Kengxing covered her nose and mouth with a handkerchief. From behind it, she said, "I'll return to my own room first. Have someone call me if you need anything." Afterwards, she left. Zhonwan gazed at Xian Rui's form and suddenly wondered, did I also look like this when I had eaten this medicine in my youth? At the time, it had been Yushi who was taking care of him. Zhonwan struggled to remember. Had he also thrown up back then? Had it also appeared so filthy? Yushi actually hadn't tossed him out of the estate then? As expected, his temperament had been too kind when he was younger. Zhonwan really couldn't recall if he had thrown up back then or not. He could only confirm that at the time, he hadn't appeared any better than Xian Rui now. Zhonwan had been in a rush to send a message to old Imperial Preceptor Shi. He naturally couldn't use the people in Prince Yu's estate. As soon as the message he needed to send was intercepted by anyone else, old Imperial Preceptor Shi would become implicated in the mess. Aside from the servants in the estate, the only person Zhonwan could see was Yushi. But Zhonwan didn't trust Yushi. He could only come up with another plan. There was an old imperial doctor in the Imperial Academy of Medicine who had been responsible for taking care of Zhonwan's health since he was young. Zhonwan wanted to use him to get in contact with old Imperial Preceptor Shi. Thus, he spent a few days pretending to be ill first. Zhonwan fell ill. Yushi naturally invited an imperial doctor. But not the one Zhonwan wanted. Zhonwan was on his guard against Yushi, Yushi was also on his guard against Zhonwan. Yushi couldn't cause trouble for his father and also didn't want Zhonwan to get caught up in the mess. Zhonwan faked being sick for 2 days. Yushi's trusted imperial physician fed him useless medicine to chase away fire for the same amount of time. He was so angry his stomach hurt. With no other options, he could only come up with another solution. Using the fact that he had been sick, Zhonwan snuck into the medicine room of the side courtyard and stole several different medicines. He couldn't boil them without garnering others' attention, so he could only grind all the herbs into powder and separate them into little pouches. He hid these pouches under his bed and swallowed one every day. As such, Zhonwan truly fell ill. Zhonwan was scared that he would garner Yushi's attention, so at first, he obediently allowed Yushi's trusted imperial doctor to treat him. He ate whatever medicine the imperial doctor prescribed. When no one was around in the middle of the night, he secretly ate his own made medicine powder. As this continued on, he became sicker and sicker. Half a month later, Zhonwan was a whole lot thinner. He couldn't even get out of bed. Because he had something he was determined about, his mind was still clear. He could still chat with Yushi. "Yushi, you've lost money this time. You spent so much money getting me here but haven't even been able to do anything. In a few days, you'll have to lose even more money buying a coffin." Yushi sat in the chair next to him, silent. Zhonwan had a lot of needs. He started listing them. For the coffin material, I want golden thread Nanmu wood. I don't want to hold pearls in my mouth. Instead, I want a jade cicada. This way, when I reincarnate, there's an 80% chance I'll still be a literary talent. Slight anger appeared in young Yushi's eyes. Zhonwan's brain was muddled and his vision was blurry because of his sickness. He didn't notice this at all and was still seeking death. Say, with my identity, where would the appropriate burial grounds be for me? My coffin is so nice, so don't bury me in the unmarked common graves outside of the city. My coffin will be stolen by others. But I probably can't get buried in the Zhon family's ancestral tombs anymore since I've fallen to slave status. I have no face to see my ancestors. Then, Zhonwan stated in exasperation, then I can only be buried in your family's tombs. Can you bury me beside your grave? Young Yushi asked softly, why would you want to be buried by my side? Zhonwan openly revealed, 'Cause I have nowhere to go. In the future, can you bury me with your princess consort Yushi was rendered speechless. Then he asked, you want to be buried with my princess consort? Then where would I go? Zhonwan had teased the future princess consort He wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. I don't need a lot of space. Worse comes to worst, you can just order a smaller coffin for me. How about this? He coughed. Order a tiny coffin for me and bury me in between you and your princess consort. This way, 100 years later, the three of us can live together happily ever after in the underground palace. Yushi's voice was filled with shards of ice. Zhong. Gui. Yuan. Zhonwan was extremely terrified. He looked at Yushi with great difficulty and coughed a few times. What? Yushi's eyes were blood red. He took 2 steps forward and stopped in front of the bed Zhonwan was lying on. He squeezed Zhonwan's arm tightly and said viciously, what do you actually want? It'd be best if you told me immediately. All your little plans will be for naught if you truly die. Zhonwan felt his heart drop. He had originally been planning on acting pitiful today and begging Yushi to invite the old imperial doctor in charge of taking care of him over. But he had never expected for Yushi to have already guessed his intentions. Put your clever ploys away. I don't know how you made yourself sick, nor do I know what you ultimately want. Yushi's voice was ice cold. But if you continue playing like this, I can guarantee that I will definitely find a grave that has the best feng shui in my family's tomb for you. For the first time, Yushi became aggravated. Zhonwan was stunned for a while and it took him a long time to whisper softly, I want old Imperial Dr. Lu to come see me. Yushi left Zhonwan's side and immediately ordered a servant to invite Imperial Dr. Lu over. Then, he commanded all the other attendants to leave the room, allowing for Zhonwan and Imperial Dr. Lu to be able to speak conveniently in secret. It would be best if you instantly become better once you see that one you wanted to. Yushi glanced at Zhonwan coldly before leaving. Afterwards, he never visited Zhonwan again. Meanwhile, because of Yushi's deliberate tolerance, Zhonwan successfully managed to pass along his message to old Imperial Preceptor Shi. Thus, Zhonwan relaxed. As soon as he did so, the effect of the poison that had been building up in his body for several days erupted like a raging tempest. That day, he passed out because of his fever. By that time, Yushi had already found Lin Si and brought him over. Little Lin Si was so agitated that he became ill too. He spent day and night caring for Zhonwan, but Zhonwan simply could not be awakened. His condition didn't seem to be getting better either. Lin Si didn't actually know how to take care of others. He was clumsy and slow. Simply switching wet handkerchiefs for Zhonwan could result in spilling a bunch of water over Zhonwan's face. When he fed Zhonwan medicine, the medicine could end up on the other's neck. Yushi had been holding back his anger while in the middle of a cold war with Zhonwan, but upon seeing the situation these two were in, he couldn't tolerate things anymore and sent Lin Si back to the stables. He rolled up his own sleeves and personally started taking care of Zhonwan. Zhonwan could remember that the next time he opened his eyes, he was lying in young Yushi's arms. Yushi had taken care of Zhonwan for several consecutive days then. He was extremely tired too. With a handkerchief in his hand, he had fallen asleep while leaning against the head of the bed. Consequently, Zhonwan, who wasn't shy in his dreams, had used the other as a pillow. At this time, Zhonwan had just recovered from a great illness. He didn't have the energy to think about anything else. But now, he couldn't help the blush that crept up his ears. Zhonwan very clearly remembered that when he had woken up, his body had been clean. The clothes that Lin Si had spilled medicine on had disappeared. Instead, he was wearing new undergarments. The blankets he was lying on were dry and soft too. It was easy to tell that they had been freshly changed. So, who changed these things for him? Zhonwan stared at Qian Rui, who didn't even look human anymore because of how ill he was. His scalp felt numb as he thought, had I also looked like this back then? Yushi had taken care of him while he had looked like this for 7 to 8 days. How had he done it? Zhonwan's expression was too tragic to look at. He didn't dare to dwell on this too much. After learning that Zhonwan had once taken this medicine for over 10 days, Yan Pingshan finally relaxed. He didn't hesitate to feed Qian Rui the medicine at all. 3 days later, Qian Rui's condition still wasn't getting better. The imperial physicians immediately pleaded guilty in front of Emperor Chang'an. Using Qian Yu's name, Zhonwan chose an opportune time to hand a petition in to Emperor Chang'an. He used the excuse of winter being too cold in the capital and thus unsuitable for recovering from illness to ask the emperor for permission to allow them to return to Qianan. This way, they could slowly nurse Qian Rui back to health. Emperor Chang'an didn't agree, but neither did he refuse. He only said that he couldn't bear for Qian Rui to travel such long distances while sick. That day, he sent a few more imperial doctors over and granted the estate more nutritional supplements. Zhonwan understood Emperor Chang'an's thoughts. If he directly let them leave, it would make him seem like a cold uncle who didn't care about his nephew's health at all. It was necessary that he make a show of how much he cared before sending this troublesome lot away. Zhonwan relaxed and started preparing Yan Pingshan for the return to Qianan. At the side courtyard of Prince Yu's estate, Yushi played with the string of beads in his hand. He softly asked, "Are they already preparing to leave?" The spy knelt on the ground and nodded. Prince Qianan has been sick in bed for several days. As soon as he inhales any cold air, he begins coughing non-stop. The imperial doctors have not been able to find anything wrong with him, only saying that he's unused to the new environment. In addition to the fact that he can't handle the climate of the north, they're persuading for Prince Qianan to return to the south so he can slowly recover. The emotion in Yushi's eyes wasn't joy or sadness. He calmly stated, "I understand. You may leave." After his spy left, Yushi silently sat there. 2 hours later, when Steward Feng returned to seek Yushi, he was still in the same position. He hadn't moved at all. Steward Feng was most scared of seeing Yushi in this type of daze, when his eyes appeared dead. He thought to himself, "Oh no," before hurriedly scooting close with a smile on his face. He switched out Yushi's tea for a new pot of hot tea before softly saying, "I heard just now that Prince Qianan is returning to his territory. Strange, unpredictable things are brewing in the capital." Yushi seemed to be muttering to himself. He doesn't want Prince Ning's children to be caught up in the mess, so he plans to leave again. Steward Feng knew who he was even without needing Yushi to elaborate. Steward Feng was very agitated. He already had a long chat with Zhonwan last time, but Zhonwan hadn't promised anything regarding whether or not he was going to stay. He put himself in the other's shoes and thought about it. Naturally, not staying was the better option. How carefree would it be to go to Qianan and be the local emperor there? Steward Feng looked up at Yushi and complained quietly in his heart, "But what about this one?" Steward Feng's heart trembled as he remembered how Yushi had looked a few days ago while smiling and joking about jumping into the ice hole. He toughened up and swore that he would be a cow or horse for Zhonwan in his next life before softly saying, "Prince Qianan is leaving, but young Master Zhon might not." Yushi looked toward Steward Feng. Steward Feng pushed the new pot of tea closer to Yushi's hands. "After Prince Qianan leaves this time, it's likely that he may never return to the capital again. Young Master Zhon has already done enough for Prince Ning. So, doesn't that mean that he might not necessarily leave with them?" Yushi's expression was dark but blank. He didn't speak. Steward Feng added, "I seem to remember that young Master Zhong's self-selling contract is still in your hands." Yushi lightly said, "Yes." "Then that's it?" Steward Feng smiled. "Of course, bringing up the self-selling contract will negatively affect your relationship. We can simply not bring it up." Besides, young Master Zhong has stayed at our estate before. Back then, we also treated him quite well. Yushi's tone was calm. Quite well? He stayed here for only half a year but fell ill several times. Ah, that's true, Steward Feng said in embarrassment. He switched topics, saying, let's not talk about that. Doesn't Yushizi want young Master Zhong to stay? Yushi listened silently. He didn't reply. Steward Feng lowly coaxed, Yushizi, think about it. How nice is young Master Zhong? He looks good and also has a good temper. If you could keep him in the estate. Yushi couldn't help but reminisce how Zhongwan had looked resting in his arms a few days ago. His throat suddenly felt dry. He picked up his teacup and took a sip. Steward Feng felt that this was an opportunity, so he continued, if you were to keep young Master Zhong, you would be in the right. Prince Jianan's estate definitely wouldn't dare to fight you for him. Yushi's pupil slightly trembled. Steward Feng muttered by himself, if you have such a desire, this old slave will give the orders ahead of time. Should we also prepare some sleeping drugs? Sleeping drugs? Yushi couldn't help remembering something that had happened during Zhongwan's illness many years ago. At the time, young Zhongwan had a fever. He spent his days drifting in and out of sleep. Yushi spent a great amount of effort feeding him his medicine every day. He couldn't relax after feeding him either. Zhongwan's temperature would fluctuate between being cold and hot during his fever, so he would occasionally kick his blankets off. Yushi would spend his entire day sitting beside Zhongwan and reading. When he saw the other kick his blankets off, he would put his book down and place the blanket over Zhongwan again. This was still fine. The most terrible instances occurred when Zhongwan felt cold. Young Zhongwan was very needy when asleep. If he felt cold, he would scoot closer to Yushi who was sitting beside him and tug on Yushi's clothes. Then, he would burrow his way into the other's arms. Yushi's face would turn red. He couldn't push the other away but he was also scared that he would fall off the bed, so could only hold him up. This person also wasn't a peaceful sleeper. In his fever-induced days, he would randomly feel around. One time, he actually stuck his hand inside Yushi's underclothes, completely tugging open the collar of Yushi's shirt. This pissed Yushi off so much that he felt the desire to leave him to survive on his own. Naturally, he didn't truly do so in the end. If he were to give Zhongwan a bowl of sleeping drugs now, would he also act like he did in his youth? And Yushi closed his eyes and aggressively drank his cup of tea. End chapter.